Hello, everybody. Welcome to Human Design Hotline. My name is Brenna. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not new here, welcome back. I've been doing Human Design Hotline for a year and a half now, but more so over on TikTok, and I am bringing it every Wednesday night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time to YouTube, my YouTube channel. And basically how we've always started off is by letting you know, or letting me know, me letting you know, what my big three is, and you can let me know what your big three is when it comes to astrology or human design in the comments. I am a Pisces Sun, Aquarius Rising, Scorpio Moon that is currently getting my steps in because I didn't move around as much as I wanted to today. So hence me walking and talking at the same time. I'm also a 1-3 sacral manifesting generator. Let me make sure my light, you can see me a little bit better and brighter. A 1-3 sacral manifesting generator in human design. So I'm very teacherly. I can be impulsive. I like to, be creatively inspired, all those fun things. So if you want to drop your big three in the comments below, or if you want to ask me a question as it relates to astrology, human design, you can do that in the comments, and I will answer you in between any of the readings that I have booked for this evening, or any readings that people book throughout the course about the hour and a half that we have here together. If you would like to book a reading, the link is on my page. It's a Calendly link, so you can go and pick your time slot. I'll give you 10 minutes of my undivided attention, and we'll pour into helping you workshop a question or anything that you want to know at this time. I'm just going to make one more note. I have a little dual monitor set up here, so let's see. And then we will get started with the energy of today, which is what I have in front of me. So we'll talk a little bit about how today may have felt for you guys, and what was happening there. So let me go. I'm just writing a little note to my Patreon crew because they get a complimentary 10-minute reading with me every time, once a month, I should say. And then extra tips here and there. I just did my generator training today. There we go. Let me just make sure. Hi, Chris. How are you? I'm writing our little notification in our community chat. There we go. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was ready to go, and we are all set. Okay. So, now that I've gotten my little admin stuff out of the way, I wanted to talk about, and please feel free to drop any questions, comments, curiosities in the chat, as I'm doing a little bit of the energetic read forecast of today. So I'm going to move my self over here for a second just so we can look at some of the chart properties. So I'm on the East Coast, so the energy at this time, we're at 1930, which is 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, as of today, May 7th, 2025. If we were to personify the energy of this evening, of the day, really not much has changed over the course of the day. We're feeling a little bit more grounded versus fiery, for a couple reasons. So right before this, I just put up a video about Gate 2 in human design, and I wrote the minute markers for Gate 2 as it refers to each of the 6 profile lines. So when we're looking at the energy of the day from an astrological perspective and how that correlates with human design, we're looking at the personality side. So the top right here, this 2.5 with the little sun symbol, this is a sun symbol, 2 or Gate 2 as it's known in human design, is between 13 and 18 degree Taurus placement. So right now the sun is pretty much at 17 degrees in the sign of Taurus, which was what makes it Gate 2 in the 5th line. And so with this placement, it's known as the gate of receptivity. So it's being open, willing, and able to be receptive, to be in a place of receiving, which is what a lot of great Taurus placements can teach us. Now, in the fifth line, it's the line of the heretic. So it's the line of the messenger, having different messages that we want to share with other people, different messages that we want to talk about, teach about, that we want people to know, and figuring out how we're going to get our point across more effectively is also, I'm looking at a couple other places, but also important to know. Now, a grounding element, because this symbol underneath is our earth placement, our earth sign, is creative self-expression in the fifth line. However, it's in its detrimented state. So this can cause our creative self-expression to take on a tone of a little bit maybe selfish, like it's good to share and be creative. Maybe we express ourselves a little bit too quickly. And it's not to say that those impulses are wrong. It's that that's a Scorpio placement. So the earth placement is always going to be, or the grounding elements are always going to be in the opposite sign of the sun sign. So it's not that the earth itself has to be, because you're like, well, earth itself, if we're in Taurus season, doesn't it kind of make sense that the earth would be in Taurus, or Taurus? And so it's more so just how are we grounding the sun being in gate 2? How do we ground it in its opposing energy, which is Taurus, of the same modality, meaning they're both fixed signs. So Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, and Scorpio are the four fixed signs in astrology. So we're in this place of receptivity. We're looking to grow. We're looking to connect with people, being able to receive, align with our values, and then we ground it through, okay, I know that I have these values, but how do I express myself? What's the element of creative self-expression that's happening right now? How do I want to share myself? And how can I figure out like a plan of attack? If I'm making or creating, it's funny, this song is called Mercury Retrograde. If I'm creating right now, it's not let me rush to post 5 new pieces of content and say, this coming soon, this coming soon, this coming soon. It's filming the pieces of content, maybe watching to see if it feels good for you to post right now, or if you can create a stack of pieces of content to post as you are announcing something new. A lot of you are spiritualists or creative individuals in some way, shape, or form. So it's like, how can we figure out when and how is the right time for you to press post, to press play, to press release, whatever it is, right? To sign the dotted line, paying attention to that. Now, coming down a notch, right? Coming down a step, we're also looking at our North Node in gate 36 of Pisces. So gate 36 of Pisces, Pisces is going to be there for a little bit longer, right? It's not, whereas the sun signs change, the moon sign is going to shift every 2.5 days. Our moon sign is in Virgo right now, right on top of our South Node. But our South Node and our North Node are not going to move super quickly. So they're going to be in gate 36 for a while, Pisces and Virgo. Gate 36 is the gate of crises. So it's looking at our relationship to crises. In the fourth line is deciding, what problems are we really here to solve? Like, what am I actually interested in? If I move myself a little bit, there we go. What am I interested in actually solving? Do I want to solve anything right now? Here, I'll do this. There we go. So that helps. Energy, get a sense of the energy of the day. I want to make sure I'm not blocking anything. Okay. So gate 36 is teaching us right now collectively, right? Because this is a collective energy chart, what we're all experiencing right now. Gate 36 is like, okay, I know as a Pisces placement, I know that I have a big heart for people. I always want my heart to be open, and I know that it's important to help people in crises, but I have to be selective about the type of crises that I want to solve, right? So if you are helping your family members through a place of crises, and you own your own business and there's clients that are a little bit more agitated, or just even if you work, like you don't have your own business, but like you work for a company and maybe you work for a call center or in some sort of customer service, and your customers or your clients are a little bit more agitated. Hi, Deanna. A little bit more agitated than normal. It's picking and choosing, is this really a crisis that I want to interject myself in? And if I do, am I willing to see it through to the ending of it? Because that Virgo South Node, Deanna, for context, just so you know, I'm reading the collective energy of the day today, and I'm talking about the North and South Nodes in Pisces and Virgo, and the feeling that we're going to have with those placements for a little while longer. So gate 36, summary crises, right? Gate 6 south node is gate of friction. Something in our past life, past experiences is teaching us. Gate 6, if we look at where it is, sits in the solar plexus center, right? So if we were to personify the energy of today, and I believe tomorrow, it's manifesting generator energy. That's the energy type of the energy of the day. So when we come here and look at this, we also have our moon conjunct our south node. There's probably for a lot of you, a lot of good added benefit, bonus, content for the lore, right? Thinking back to your lore, thinking about things that have happened in the past and figuring out how to use that as fuel to propel you forward. Gate of friction, Virgo gate placement is like deciding when is it worthwhile to have friction with people, not for the sake of like arguing against one another, but for the sake of justice. It's like a little bit of that, almost like a Libra flavor that we have to this placement, even though it's Virgo. And then again, that fourth line, anytime you see a fourth line in someone's chart or your chart or the transits, north node, south node, and moon are all in the fourth line because we have a Virgo moon today. Every 2.5 days, the moon changes signs. But we're looking at, okay, I'm going to be selective about what I can emotionally handle and take on right now. And who can I realistically allow in and out of my life. Even if it's people, right? Like I'll go through phases, especially like Virgo moon activated days where I'm like cleaning out my following list, cleaning out my inbox, unsubscribing to emails that have been taking up space, but I don't actually buy anything from that place, right? It's like those kinds of things. It doesn't have to be something as heavy and serious all the time. Although I think for a lot of people, it's like, okay, we're flexing because we have Pluto retrograde right now. We're flexing the muscle of discernment, right? Of who's around me. What do they want from me? What do I want from them? Is this a good symbiotic relationship? Does this create a good, healthy give and take? How do I feel, right? And what role do I play in those relationships? Am I putting too much pressure on this person? Am I not expecting enough from this person? Am I not asking them or communicating my needs? Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so it's a planet of communication in our thought processes. So it's just taking an extra layer and beat to think about those things at this moment. What we also have at this time is gate 42 in Mercury. So gate 42 is part of this channel here, channel of maturation. And so it's cycles, things having a beginning, middle, and ending. Yeah, yes, Virgo energy does something to me. Deanna, you already being a projector, my two projectors in the chat, you being a projector and like looking at like cleaning and doing things like that this week, you were like already ahead of the curve. You guys are always like, I feel like in tune with the energy a couple days ahead, which I love. It's helpful because you guys are aware. Yeah, so channel of maturation. Gate 42 is where our Mercury is right now in Aries, right? So by the top left-hand corner, let's see if I do this, of my screen where you see my picture, that's the Mercury I'm looking at. And then the bottom left, the only channel, that 42-53 channel, is what we're experiencing. This also has to do with some Cancer energy from 88 days ago. Things that happened 88 days ago kind of pulling themselves into the present moment. And if you are having sessions right now, if you're creating content right now, if you're doing anything or anything feels like an overwhelming project right now, a really good way to look at this Aries Mercury placement is, and it's in its later degrees. It's like, let's see, if it's 42, it's going to be almost at 29 degrees. Yeah, at 20 to 26 degrees, I should say. So between 20 and 26 degrees, we're getting to that close, right? I should say 29 degrees of Aries is also very potent in and of itself. But what's happening with this Mercury placement and its degrees and what's happening right now is this emphasis on helping us break things down into the beginning, the middle, and the ending of something. So even in my own life, I'm looking at different projects, in relationships, in my daily routines, and really assessing, especially looking at where Aries is in your chart, what house it's in. There's this activation, and Cancer, this activation of like, okay, I know that I'm in the middle phase of this project, right? Maybe it's a long-term project. Maybe I'm in the middle of cleaning out my closet and that's a shorter term project, right? And categorizing things into beginning, middles, and endings also helps from a content creation perspective right now. It's like you've introduced the topic, you had a discussion about it, here's the conclusion. It could be great for storytelling pieces of content. It could be great for, here's the problem, I am sharing an example, here's the solution. It depends. Also in your own conversations, knowing that this is the energy that we're going to feel collectively, and this is how people are going to be communicating with each other, it's helpful to explain and have conversations land, especially if we're dealing with homes, right? And moving, Chris, right? For you. Whatever you guys can think of that seems kind of like a expansive problem, a problem that needs a little bit more refinement, or you're just kind of like unaware or haven't been as conscious about what problems you're facing, what things you're facing right now, or what part you're at in the process. Just especially for my projectors, my non-sacrals, take a bird's eye view back and really look at, okay, if I really think about where I'm at right now intuitively for myself. Hi, Darian. Oh, yeah, you're so sweet. I was like 2 minutes behind. Thank you. I'm explaining the energy of the day, so you'll appreciate this. Hi, Friends with Audio. It's nice to see you here. Welcome. Oh, I'm glad. So Friends with Audio is another one of my amazing projectors. I guess I can call myself I'm a manifesting generator audio, but projector collector. So Deanna and Chris, who are here, are also projectors that I met via TikTok. They're in my Patreon, and Darian is a fellow manifesting generator. Just so you know, the collective crew here. And then I'm just explaining, if I zoom out, the energy of the day from a human design perspective, which I know that you'll love and appreciate. And if we were to take a snapshot of this moment, and a lot of these energies will be very similar. So if you guys listen to this I would say tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. I think I'm going to be on Saturday night, so I'll do another one. So, hi, Drea, how are you? Yes, yay, and my perfect fourth projector. We have some good penta energy. So, in human design, you have 3 to 5 people together. Hi, bunches, how are you? And another man, Jen. We're getting even. We're tying each other now. When you have 3 to 5 people in a group, that's called penta energy. When it's 5 or more, that's called Wa energy. So just some fun human design vocab for you, how all of our auras connect in a space. But yeah, I've been doing the energetic recap of the day. What I was just saying, to give you guys some context for those of you who are just tuning in, I was looking at, let me zoom this up here, my other monitor where my chat is to my right hand side, so I switched things around. But I was talking about Gate 42, which is a 20 to 26 degree Aries placement, right where the top right of my picture is here, my video stream, like me. And then the bottom left is where it sits in the human design body graph. So it's part of the channel of maturation, which is really assessing what point you're at in any process that feels a little unstable. The personification of this Aries placement in this channel is like, okay, we have fought on the battlefield for like a couple months now, or we're like halfway through the battle. Let me assess and go back to my respective, tents, and we look at the map, we look at the cartography or the lay of the land, right? And we're assessing what's the next point in strategy. To use a less volatile, right, energy, even though it's Aries, so it's a fire sign. It's like, what part are we at in this journey that we're on, right? Maybe we're maps and we're traveling through the forest and we're climbing, through over the river and through the woods, whatever. And what part are we really at in our journey? Like what part of the process are we at right now? And what I had said from a content perspective for any of you that, or also any of you that are having more challenging conversations, it's really painting the picture of a clear beginning, middle, and ending of things. That's the beauty of this channel of maturation. How do things mature over time? Because we have Gate 42 meets Gate 53 Cancer placement. That specifically is coming from our design side. So our Mars, Cancer Mars, that's where Mars was 88 days ago. That's where we get. So 88 days ago was February 8th. Feels like we were just there, but that's because Mars was in Cancer 88 days ago. It's in Leo right now, which we'll talk about in a minute or two. that being said, right, it's like, okay, what seeds did I plant that maybe I actually started them even if I wasn't cognizant of it 88 days ago? Maybe my beginning, what did I begin in February, and how am I reassessing where it's going at this point in time, right? We pull that down and look a step further. I was talking a lot about Venus today in Patreon, actually, as it relates to the trainings and reclaiming your values. And this is where we see collectively, we also have not a tight conjunction, but conjunct is a loose term way of saying it, but Venus and Aries are both in, Venus and Mercury, are both in Aries right now. So we have gate 17. You'll see, and friends with audio, this is how we connected. You'll see that this is a downward facing arrow. So Aries in Venus right now, is more prone to its detrimental state. So what I'll actually do, my handy dandy, I call it my version of the Bible, with respect to all religions, but it's been very beat up. The cover's been beat up for a while, but I'll read to you the emphasis of gate 17 in its detrimented state. Now, I started a Substack series about this and like what do detriments mean? So there's 4 dignities in astrology: domicile and exaltation, fall, and detriment. And in human design, we really only use exaltation and detriment, upward facing, downward facing. The downward facing arrow is the detriment. So in Aries and Venus, it's more prone. In human design, it's not so much like a or B, black or white. Like, it's more so A or B, black or white, I should say. It's not so much as like, this is great, like your ass if you have the detriment, or you're going to be a terrible person. It's like, just know that you're more predisposed to lean in this direction. Like, I'm a Scorpio moon, so I'm more predisposed to like really hold on to my emotions, right? And feel really passionate. I know this about myself, right? So it's part of my work as this soul that's incarnated to figure out how to work with my emotions, even though I'm not an emotional authority, I'm a sacral authority. It's like I have my own version of an emotional wave, essentially, as a Scorpio moon. It's funny because the client I had today for astrocartography actually also had the same exact Scorpio moon set up as me, which is cool. But anyway, with gate 17, in the first line, in its detriment. So gate 17 is known as the gate of opinions. Opinions are like assholes, everybody has one, right? It's kind of the feeling that we get right now. Then we also have Mercury in Aries. So we're also feeling this like, okay, now everyone's sharing them at the same time, right? Like there's a process. But if you, again, remembering or listening back to what I just said, I record all these and post them right away. So you guys will see them or are able to go back. But it's like, how do I process this to be a little bit more strategic and objective about how I'm sharing things? There can be a lot of passion there, but how is it us coming towards a solution or trying to see both sides, and then understanding people's roles in that? So gate 17, gate of opinions. In the first line, it's the line of openness. So in its exalted state, or where we want to kind of get towards, but what's the exaltation of this? It's the possibility of having many opinions. So the energy to sustain a broad spectrum of stimuli. Line 1 is the line of the investigator. It's like, these opinions give me a good foundation to know, do I agree with this person or do I not agree with this person? Is this person's opinion in line with my values? Is it aligned with how I want to take action, right? Aries being ruled by Mars. And how do I ground myself in the opinions that I'm getting? Now, there's a lot of places for us to have people share their opinions right now to get everyone's opinions, right? It's like I always say, with all this new technology, we're like the guinea pig generation that's figuring out, where are we going? Why are we going in this direction? Like, what's the point? What's like, there's a lot coming into our brains at one time that we're downloading, if you will. And so it's really finding a way to get your footing and get clear on where do you find value? What's a core value for you as an individual? Looking at your own Venus sign is a great place to kind of just give yourself the location in your chart where you can get the vocabulary to figure out what you value. So you guys can always let me know what your Venus sign number is. I look at the personality side first always, because that connects to your tropical astrology. And then we look at your design side as well. So what you're not aware of. This person would be like, if a baby was born tonight at 7:30, when we started, gate 17 is like, they're obviously, they feel more opinionated, but then they're learning how to become more spirit focused over time. Gate 25, gate of the spirit, sits in the G center. It's more about more expansive love and connection. Whereas Aries, gate 17, sits in the ajna. Whatever energy center, aka correlated to the chakras, your gates sit, it's going to take on the flavor. So a gate 17 Aries Venus is going to be a little bit more hard-headed, cerebral, train of thought, like linear thought process, generally speaking. Whereas somebody that has like a gate 42 Aries Venus that sits in the sacral is going to take on more of that somatic element. It's like mind versus body. In its detrimented state, right, gate 17, a tendency to limit openness to aesthetically pleasing stimuli, the possibility to limit opinions to what is pleasing. Oh, well, I'm just gonna, it's a confirmation bias is the best way. A lot of people are predisposed to, oh, well, I'll believe that because it sounds good, right? It's actually really funny because, and Deanna, thank you. I'll talk about that in a second. Before I move on to Mars, there's a guy who posts these kind of like expose videos. His name is like Bees something, and he's like white or white passing, and he has like dark hair, and he was posting a video about like an expose of James Charles, who's like I think just a makeup influencer who was like, the alleged conviction is like predatory in some nature. And so he was saying like that James Charles said that he was going to come out with some video tomorrow about like basically trying to wipe away like all of his wrongdoings of, the things that he's been accused of and pretty much proven guilty of, and basically leaning towards this line, right, of confirmation bias. Okay, cool, Darren. Oh yeah, oh wow, so he's certainly opinionated. Yes, absolutely. There you go. So you'll see this, and it's like, okay, I mean, this so tracks with all of that Libra. That's right opposite of this, right? So it's like, I just want to go for what's nice for you though, right? It's like, it's leaning you to teach you, because I know that your Aries moon, right, it's opposing that. It's like not, you can say it firm, but say it nicely. It's just like not being like nice nasty, right? Like that's a big saying, that nice nasty. And figuring out like, it would be like saying, like if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. Instead of being like, that sure is a hairstyle, right? It's just like, maybe we can just not say anything about somebody's hair if we don't like it. You can think that, and you know that you're not going to do your hair that way, but really calling it out wouldn't add something like in particular to the conversation, unless you were a hairstylist that was paid for that contribution, right? Like that's what somebody's there for. But it's like adding in those graceful elements. But that's funny. I'm glad that I could use you as a real life example. Also within that, it's like the flip side of that, because again, the detriments aren't always a negative, right? It's like limiting opinions to what is pleasing. Maybe as an astrologer that will share content, you just don't have to, you're not somebody that's here to do an expose. You can highlight the fun aspects of astrology, and you don't have to be the person that gets down into the nitty gritty, like, here's how you can see where how to manipulate somebody into signing a contract. Like, you don't have to talk about those things, right? It's like leaning towards what's actually good, what's actually beneficial, because like we don't always have to sit in heaviness. And I will say that especially now, there's such an opportunity for people like that to exist, because there are a lot of people who do play an important role in the expose, but there are still people who have to be a source of hope for us, right? Especially if you have hope motivation in human design. So down here, guilt motivation doesn't mean that you have to feel guilty all the time in order to be motivated, but it's like, oh, I'd feel guilty if I didn't try. I'd feel guilty if I didn't do this. That's the flip side benefit of that motivation. So I'll pause there for a second just to read a couple comments. There's too much nice nasty that I've seen. It's yuck energy. I know. And I'm like, don't you want like the best for everybody? Like, can't we all just get along is such a big phrase right now. And I think like knowing, oh yeah, bunches. Okay, yes. So you would be one of those people too. It's like, how do we just lighten it up a little bit? Oh, hi, Amanda. I didn't see you sneak in here too. Yes. Okay. Your Aries Venus is in gate 25. There you go. Yes. So that like coming to a sense of like, you value heart openness, expansion. You can be lighter and still be discerning at the same time. That's a great duality of that gate 25 placement, a great aspect for that. And then Deanna, my Venus is gate 12 conscious. Yeah, okay, so gate of caution, it's like Gemini Venus. I mean, you're going to have many different people that like are attracted to you, working with you in a romantic and a platonic way, as I'm sure you're aware of. And like really connecting with people on a cerebral level. Yeah, Amanda. About like mindset. I mean, it makes so much sense for everything that you're doing. And it's funny because even in the micro elements of people's charts, we could still see the macro and how there's so many red threads that run together for the way that Deanna speaks about motivation and connecting with people and 11th house sun and, all of those things. But then gate 12 is like, I know that I can't dump all of my knowledge and motivate everybody about multiple different things at one time, right? Like maybe there's a reason and a season for like why for the month of May you would do something for motivation. And then June has its own energy planetarily, like with what people might be motivated to do. Maybe August is like a getting back to school, especially having your daughter, your beautiful daughter, who will also be a very good motivational speaker. She's already like dying to talk. She's so cute. But like that, it's just a good way to kind of think about that. Gate 12 is gate of caution, and also picking and choosing. Like, I'm very big on this too. Like I'm the TikTok, especially, you see it less people through, especially when I set up my streams through this software. You got Darian, I think was the Indiana were there when that one person slipped in earlier this week and said something mean in my other walk and work session. But it's like, okay, it's okay to be selective about who I keep in my community. And there's nothing wrong with that. The 55 energy has been coming to mind. Yeah, gate of the spirit. Yeah, I'm not sure what that gate is. So it's gate 55. It's also being in tune to your emotions because it sits in the emotional center. What degree is it? Let me see. Yeah, so 0 to 5 degrees of Pisces. So really allowing us to see like, okay, when we enter into being able to connect with people, almost like the early energy of really knowing what it feels like to have your heart cracked open, your tiny happy upper, yes. Like your heart cracked open, being able to be expansive, being able to connect with people. That's a really big aspect of that gate placement. So it's like, how do you surrender to the process of still trying again, even when things don't seem to always go according to plan, which is a big element of that 5539 channel too. Gate 39 is gate of provocation, Cancer gate placement. What degrees? Yeah, between 9 and 15 degrees of Cancer. So that's when we'll see that. It grounds that sensation also. Yeah, and I think that was at the other, unconscious 55. Yeah, it's like gate 12 is like, you can see the dichotomy there of like, I'm going to proceed with caution, but then that gate 55 is like, okay, I know enough to know what to look out for, but I don't have to make that an excuse for why my heart still stays closed off, right? It's like, okay, I can still learn to trust again. And that's Pisces placements. It's like, no matter what happens, you get up, you dust yourself off, you learn to connect with the right people again, and you have more intel. We learn through our mistakes, you know? I guess I have Venus in gate 1. I'll have to do a little research. Yes, I did a deeper video. It's like 20 minutes long on here about gate 1. So you have that to kind of look at. And then whatever line it's in, you can fast forward. I go in order if it's gate 1 in the first line through 6th line. You can scroll ahead. But that way you know what the energy is for that placement. So I'm excited. Gate 1 is gate of self-expression. So you still have to feel like in all of your relationships or what you value is being creatively yourself, right? It's nice because friends with audio, I know. Yeah. You also have the 1/8 channel and Deanna too. Deanna was the one who I just made the video about that. I made it with her in mind. I gave her a shout out at the beginning. The 1/8 channel is really being a source of inspiration. Yeah, absolutely. A source of inspiration to other people. So it would be a great time to have that like added emphasis on like, okay, it's grounding for me to figure out what I want to contribute. Gate 8 is Uranus and Taurus, right? I think it's gonna transition to Gemini soon. but also very early degrees of Gemini. So late degree Taurus, early degree Gemini, or 0 degree Gemini specifically. Yeah, okay. So that is our Aries, and then I'll talk about Mars. I get some water. Like how many steps I'm at? 2,400. I'm slower today. Turn down my heat a little bit. I'm a hot digestion person, human design, so I need like a very warm environment all the time. And I used to be obsessed with like tropical climates in the jungle when I was a kid, so it makes a lot of sense as to why on a physical level. But now coming down into the energy right now we have with Mars in Leo, and it's going to be comfortable there for a little while. So I think it's 6 to 8 weeks is the duration of a Mars transit, if I'm remembering correctly off the top of my head. I'll look at the ephemeris again. Yeah, I'm sorry today, right? I know. I'm in my luteal phase too. I'm very big on cycle syncing for anybody who needs to cycle sync, and so I always allow myself to go slower. The little behind the scenes tip, if you guys are in your wellness era, is that following that, in addition to your human design energy type and your authority, super helpful for making yourself understand, is this my intuition, or like what are my hormones doing? So a cheat sheet I'll give you too. But I digress on that for now. Gate 33 in Mars, okay, in Leo, gate 33 is a very interesting, in the line of the Hermit especially, it's double emphasis there. It's interesting for Leo. People wouldn't expect, and I know quite a few, this transit gate 33 happens between like the very end of July and very beginning of August. So like I know I have a couple August 2nd babies in my life that are gate 33 personality sons. Gate 33 is the gate of privacy, and it sits in the throat center. So if I move my screen, there we go. In the throat center here, in the channel of the prodigal, which Josh has. Gate 33 is not speaking Mars on your moves just yet. It's okay to be excited about something, and you should be excited about anything that you're doing. But maybe we don't have to rush for this week or the next couple weeks to share preemptively or share too early too soon. A lot of what you'll hear me saying today is like being in a little bit more of like the middle preparatory phases. Like maybe I don't have to post my big reveal or my big announcement or do a big crazy move, or even if I'm in the process of moving, not everybody has to know that at this moment, right? I can be still doing things and posting content and, going about my day and doing the normal things, but it's being a little bit more strategic about knowing who's supposed to know what, when, and figuring that out. Okay, gate 2 in the line of the Hermit is like being a little bit more introverted when it comes to your actions. But again, gate 33 is in the throat center. So when it comes to communicating that. Leo is also one of the most creative placements that you can have in your astrology. And Deanna, I'll answer in a second. In your astrology, in addition to Pisces. And it's very loyal, right? And devoted, right? As we know, Pisces placements to be also. So when it comes to your creativity, the creative projects you're working on, that's where you can also look at that too from a loyalty standpoint and devoted standpoint. It's on a need to know basis. If what I'm doing is affecting my relationship with other people, whatever I'm creating, if I'm going to be in the studio for long hours at a time, whatever that is, that's how you can look at this placement just for now, right? Everything's a transit. It's like just for now by Imogen Heap. So Deanna, do we think of the planets exactly the same as astrology? Like, are we talking about Mars? Is that about, in HD, is that about action? Yes. No, it's not confusing. Yeah. I also have this as my unsun line too. Oh, unconscious. Yeah, I was like, what's an unsun? Yes, so that's interesting. Okay, I can read that from the book too. Oh my God, I have this problem. It's so hard not to talk about the project before I'm even done with it. Yes, and you know what came up because we added each other as mutuals, so I'll get a lot of your old content. And I like the video about projector bitterness and like when people lose interest. That's a great way, because it's not because they don't care, but it's that maybe there is a way that you can, even though it's upsetting because you're like, damn, like you're my friend, like you should be excited for me no matter when I say it, like what's up with that? But it won't fall on deaf ears as much if you intuitively just take a beat to sit through that excitement and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, but like I can't wait until the right time. I'm so ready for it to be the right time, but it's the right time because I can cultivate something a little bit more professional, organized, structured, streamlined. And I say that for all my non-sacrals, like get organized behind the scenes before you announce something, right? Like get your strings and things in order, connected, right? So that it makes sense for me to share at the right time. And it's like, listen, it's genuinely valid, but it's like understanding that like as somebody who is already so progressive in how you see where the world should be, we're like light years behind where you guys are as projectors. So like, it's like, we don't like the organism of that is the earth right now, or a lot of the energetics behind it, but we know how to play that system a little bit. And you get to decide like how much, this is very 28 gate of the game player, how much of the game do you want to play or do you want to participate in? And what in it has benefit to you? What has benefit to you? And yes, Deanna, I think I answered your question fully, but yes, we're talking about it in the same context in astrology and human design. There's actually, if I read to you, I've talked about this a couple times. There's a couple other like overlaps, like the sun and the earth are the neutrinos or the genetic DNA information that we, what is the word? Download, I'll say, from mom and dad. So that's an extra layer that's human design based, because human design also deals in like DNA, biochemistry, quantum physics, all that kind of stuff, right? The more of the sciences. Whereas astrology, depending on what vein you study, isn't always going to be like that. What was I going to bring up? Here, yeah. I'll read through this list in a second. I announce it, then hope there's interest to fuel me. Ugh, I know better. Yeah, because so this is $1 million tip for you. You have to think about yourself as the talent. If you are super excited about the painting, the series, the album that you're going to release, people are excited purely because of the joy. I have chills left side of my body, so affirmation for you. Because you're excited about it. Then when it's a symbiotic relationship, right, that's where it will continue to flow. But you have to be excited about it first, right? And there's naturally going to be interest because you've gotten that download. You're smarter than us, right? You projectors, my non-sacrals, you guys see a bigger, better way for us to do things. So it's like teaching the world how to treat you. The hardest thing is just to trust that that is in fact going to work. And do you believe in your intuition enough? It's so easy for me to say that and give you that homework, but you're like, damn, like now I really have to believe that. Right? And that's where the co-creation happens. And again, that's where, especially for my generators and man-gens, we experience that lull when there's a pivot happening. It's like if you've been going in this direction for 10, 20, 30 years and, you haven't changed your brake pads and you're stepping on the brake, it's going to be a little rough, right? Like it's rough in the sense that it's going to take a little bit of slower time. But by slower time, I'm not talking about like 2 years. I'm like, it could be 2 weeks, 2 months maximum, where you're just pivoting, right? And that's where you can get into thinking about like quantum leaping. It's like making a really fast change very quickly where you've jumped into a bigger, better, brighter future because you brought awareness to that thing. And then in a snap moment, you're like, oh, that's an aha moment. I know more now. I know better. Here's how I pivot. So I'll give you that. So when it comes to, if you have the definitive book of human design, this is on page 36. So it's the sun, moon, nodes, and planets in the body graph. So generally speaking, all of the placements in human design follow the same principles as we have them in astrology. Our moon is our emotions. Our Mercury's communication and thought processing. Our Venus is love and our values. But here's a little bit of the extra human design vocabulary that I'll give you as a cheat sheet. We're 44 minutes into the recording right now. So Deanna, if you want to scroll ahead to this part too, it'll be available for you. So our sun is our personality and our life force, generally the same as astrology. The earth, though, is a new element. This is what grounds us and brings our life force into reality. Our sun and our earth on the personality or design side are the 4 gates that make up our incarnation cross. I love them. You guys know this. I talk about them a lot. I have a whole playlist that I keep, as people like old videos, I keep adding them to the playlist. But I've been talking about incarnation crosses for like 2 years, 2.5 years now, for a long time on TikTok. Our moon is our driving force. So internally, right, it's going to feel a little bit more like what you associate with Mars, but like we are in fact emotional creatures, especially if you're an emotional authority, being driven by your moon, right? Like our motivation is how we feel on the inside. Everything on our inside is us pushed out. Our north node, future direction, but also environment, right? Gate 36, what we're feeling right now, is a gate of crises. Yeah, it feels like that right now. A lot of crises happening in our environment. South node is where we've been. Gate of friction, interesting, right? Friction, crises, right? What's that interplay like? Also environment. Mercury, communication, thinking, straightforward. Venus, values, but also sociology. So how do we connect with the people around us, right? Not anthropology, where it's the physical location, but sociology is like personal dynamics and values too. Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, good. Mars, right, is also immaturity and energy dynamics. So I've explained this in other videos that I've done about how Mars teaches us where we can mature a little bit, right? Where we can grow, maybe where we've acted too quickly, too swiftly. So 1 foot on the gas, 1 foot on the brake. Sometimes I would say even more so, energy dynamics for sure, how much energy you have for something, what energy you bring to the table. My Mars is on my ascendant, so my energy levels are always pretty obvious. So that's why I'm like, okay, guys, like I'm moving slower today, right? Like it's a little bit slower for me today. I communicate my energy, right? Because I'm aware that it's very obvious. So my energy dynamics, how it plays in a role with other people, it's like, it's not you, it's me, right? And why is it me? Because a lot of people, based on my Scorpio 10th house, right, I've learned the hard way that they read into it as something that it's not, especially on the internet when it's like, you know, a passing moment. So it's interesting to look at your chart in that way too. Yeah. Jupiter is not just abundance and like growth and expansion. In human design, it's also law and protection, which is really interesting. And this is where we can kind of see like, I want to do a series on the Godheads, and just intuitively, friends with audio, I feel like you would really like this. But there's a Godhead or a goddess, God figure that's associated with each of the gates in human design. So if you have gate 5, for example, that's the Godhead for Prometheus. And there's a bunch of different ones. I can do a series on that too, or maybe we can talk about that the next time I'm on if you guys are interested. We can talk about the mythos and the mythology behind that. So if you do like deity at the same time, or like deity worship or altars or anything like that, you may find that you've already picked up on ones that have overlapped in your astrology, or human design, I should say. So that's pretty cool. I don't understand how it can be exalted and in detriment at the same time. So that's how there's probably more than one placement, or the way that it aspects in your natal chart. Yeah, okay, cool, Amanda. It aspects in your natal chart just means that in certain elements you can lean towards the exaltation. In other certain times it would lean towards the detriment too. Okay, yeah, okay, Godheads. Okay, I'll prioritize that for you guys. I'm gonna write this down. And maybe what we'll do is how about we'll cover that next Wednesday. So I'll start with that, and then whoever's here, I'll just cover the ones that are a part of your like sun signs and your grounding earth and your incarnation crosses, or we could start with all your sun gates. So if you guys want to look to see what your sun gate is, and then just have that number in mind for next time, and then I have all the Godheads organized and written down so we could talk about that. And if there's anyone intuitively that you feel called through, we'll go through that. Janice, oh, Minerva. Okay, yes. Janice and Minerva. I love that. I love that you have it memorized. Okay, so that'll help me help you. Thank you. Yeah, okay. So I'll finish these last few for Deanna. So Jupiter, law and protection, right? It's like disciplinarian energy also, which is what we associate with Saturn, right? Saturn rewards discipline. It's the judge. It also is what causes restraint, How can we have some decorum? How can we appear a little bit more organized, right? I've talked a lot about Saturn because Saturn's one of my chart rulers. So I have a relationship with my Saturn gate placement. It's really good to help you figure out what you need to get structured or disciplined in. And it's funny because sometimes like it'll be a Scorpio Saturn in line one or gate one. And it's like, yeah, you do need to get disciplined about having fun and creatively expressing yourself. And it can be that light. It doesn't have to be as hard. It's like you just need to know what to focus on. And who doesn't need that, right? Uranus, same thing. Unusualness, chaos, order, science, right? What we associate with Aquarius too. Neptune, illusion, art, and spirituality. So that can also be something to consider as a creative person. And then Pluto, transformation, of course, but also adding in truth and psychology in human design. So yeah. One day I went to your cross place and you do have so many, but not mine yet. Oh my gosh, yes. I know you're literally on my list for the next YouTube video for me to make, Deanna, is your left angle cross of identification. So you're next in queue. So you will be my next YouTube video. It'll probably be out a week from now. I'll have time to get it done between now and then. I was like, what am I doing? Where am I in the world? And I'll have it recorded and edited by a week today. So that way it'll be here and it'll be easier to find because I'll put it on YouTube for you. So that's the gist of the differences for all of like the teachers, we call them, or the planets in human design. And also like I have a lot of videos on YouTube. I'm sure I did the left angle cross of identification, or not on YouTube, on TikTok, but it's just a matter of scrolling and organizing all those back in there. It's like, I'm like, oh, my, when do I have the impulse to do that? The sacral impulse that I'm listening for, like, where's my energy going? And it's nice because as a manifesting generator has a gate 5, I'm really aware of my cycles. So like, I know generally when I'm getting back into the orbit of creating a certain type of content or what type of creative mode I'm going to be in to work with that energy. So that's been fun to work with that. Let me see here. Just do one thing. Oh, Steve. Okay, I just got a notification. I'm sorry I was chatting over you here, Steve. Steve, are you still here? Who is Steve? Because Steve has signed up for a reading and I just realized I was yapping right over him. If you guys ever, I don't get a notification through the portal that I'm streaming from. So if I ever start yapping and it's like past your time by like a minute or two or I don't acknowledge it, just always let me know. And then I can always make sure that I answer you. Yeah. Or Steve, you're friends with audio. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry about that. If you're cool with it, as a thank you, I'll give you 15 minutes instead of just 10. Just as a thank you. I'm sorry about that. You're probably like, why isn't she saying anything? So thank you. I appreciate that. Let me go here. Okay. And I'm going to do this just so I don't put your information up on the screen. So stand by. Again, manifesting generator certified yapper. Get myself in trouble. Okay, I'm excited. We have another November baby that has added to the mix. We have quite a few. I've a Scorpio stellium, so I attract a lot of Scorpios. Okay, so let me pivot over into Steve now, and then Deanna. Thank you. I appreciate that, Darren. I know, because I'm like, at least you guys learned something, right? But thank you. So Steve, I'm just going to read your question. So I'm looking for clarification on what I'm meant to guide with. I'm an illustrator, but I have lived a very conditioned to seek success through money and approval of others, especially social media. I feel you. Although have not found success of my own, I helped design and brand a very successful business for my ex-partner. I did not receive credit for my work with them. So I'm in a place where I feel all that work is for nothing. And I'm sorry that that was your experience, because that's so like painful on such a spiritual level. A couple things. So unfortunately, as human beings, we're also, before I forget to say this, what's our minute marker here? We are 54 minutes into the recording. So you'll have this to refer back to, Steve. And we're going to do 15 minutes together as a thank you. And I'm sorry I yapped over here for you. But again, we unfortunately learn through our mistakes, right? That gate 44 Scorpio placement that you have, right? It's your sun gate. It's like being alert, right? But sometimes that Tauran excitement, the excitement levels that we have, Sagittarius Venus, is going to inflate how much we can trust other people. And as a gate 44 Scorpio moon, what I've learned over time is that it's okay to dot our I's and cross our T's, especially as a projector, to have our contracts in place. Whenever there's large movement of money or movement of money in general, my payment non-refundable is stated very clearly for people to read. Anyone that does mentorship with me is like really making sure that like we have that shit tight and locked down so that nobody tries for any funny business. Now, right, it's getting the recognition that's really also emotionally painful, because you're like, success and recognition are hand in hand as projectors. Failing to see success in some way can take a blow to the recognition piece, because you're like, damn, like I didn't get any credit at all. I didn't get any recognition. Like, and unfortunately, you know this just from the other day, as somebody who's worked in the arts and music space and still does in a certain capacity, just more so through the lens of helping mostly projectors through mentorship, it is that like you have to make sure that you have all those things ready to go. Now, I know that you know this, and I don't say this to like beat a dead horse. You're like, trust me, I probably like beat myself up about this so many times, but it allows you to be a little bit more preemptive and like aware, especially because you have a 4 in your profile, of really seeing people for who they are and the opportunity that they provide for you. Now, transactional relationships are fine if both people are in on the fact that it's transactional, right? Like it's a client illustrator relationship. It's like we're helping each other out here, whatever it is. And that's what's hard, is that like a lot of people don't lead with that in mind always, or are not verbal about it. The reason I say that so much, right, verbal and like literal means of like we say we're going to do this and then here's a contract to back it up with literal, verbal, literal. You're self-projected projector. So you have to talk things out loud to get clarity on it, to know like, is this even actually the person that I want to do this work with? Does this make sense for both of us? Like you can have the rough outline and the contract ready to go, but like if you were to put an example on being like an illustrator, and that really feels like it's at the core of interest to you still, right? It could be that like, I'm getting ahead of myself here because there's a lot of things that I'm like channeling, downloading at one time to say, reminder finger for what I was going to say. But you need to now have people that you know, like, and trust, and only a select core group of people to share your musings with, to share your like ideas with, and make sure that you have a sacred container for that. Something that can also be helpful, because this is what my reminder finger comes in, you have a Scorpio stellium, right, is to, like a lot of Scorpio, is to North Node, figure out like who are the people that you know, like, and trust. And also, it's hard for you to forgive and forget and move on, right? So it's like that hit, just to validate your feelings, right? Like that hit, that emotional toll that's taken on you, it may never fully go away, but it's playing the game, Gate 28, which you have, which we'll talk about, going in that direction. It sounds like, based on ex-partner, I don't know if it was romantic partner or business partner, regardless, the Gate 27 Taurus South Node that you have there is, you're bringing in this element of caring for your people. You're also a Pisces moon, right? I also have a Pisces stellium, a Pisces sun. So I feel you, right? Wanting the best for your people, Gate 37, Gate of friendship, but taking that caring, taking that friendship, and really placing it with people who deserve it. And this isn't something that's like your fault as a projector. They were my ex and now they are my boss. Oh, they are your, oh geez, okay. Okay. So that provides a little bit of an interesting level of things, right? And an interesting energy dynamics there for sure. And I think, so, okay, so let me see. I'm just like reading through again through this level of now that I have more data. Yeah, and I think like a couple things. Like when you define success, thank you. I'm like, oh, there's more information here. When we're looking at your success, right? It's like, you know that you've been conditioned, to use your words, to seek success through money and approval of others, especially social media. It's okay if part of your actual success as a projector is tied to those things, right? I'm a content creator just as much. Oh, interesting. They're a twin and both twins are my boss. Wow, that's a really interesting dynamic. You're also, I will say, your channel of the alpha doesn't have to be as obvious as it sounds, although I think your hair like leans into that Leo Saturn. Being disciplined about the type of leader that you are, it's okay. Like you don't have to own your own company if you don't want to, but like having parameters, leadership, and loyalty of to your projects in some way, shape, or form is good for you. So it's like if you can get or have some sort of recognition as it comes to that, important. But really defining like when you take a step back, right, to use that channel of maturation and you say, what is it that where am I at in this process? Maybe that was the beginning. Now I'm really in the middle of my career. How would I redefine success for where I'm going at this moment in time based on what happened, right? I will say this because you also have a gate 5, which is your Venus placement, as I know you know. We really like change only when we can control it. It doesn't matter your energy type. That's just truth to that placement. It's funny because the phrase that I've been saying a lot today, and it's true for your placements as well because of your Saturn, especially, and your Mars and a couple others, your Venus, which you're talking about, is being disciplined about your fun. So your job can be fun, but there is an element of like serious business that needs to happen. And I see, and I've seen many of my creators who like can't be bothered with business really get burned because of not wanting to spend the time to just get a little bit more educated. And unfortunately, it's like, okay, what are my rights as a creative person in this realm? So point being, and to give you a little bit of homework in addition to this, drop some homework in the middle for you, is I want you to go and look at and speak to yourself in a voice note. Also, if you don't have anyone that you can know, like, and trust just yet with these things, speak into a voice note to hear yourself and play it back to yourself so you can use yourself as your self-projected authority, because your throat is so important, right? You need to hear what you're saying to know if it even has truth to it. I know you talk to yourself a lot. You probably sing, also can probably be a certified yapper like me, right? We feel that. Like Darian can understand too. And so, okay, how can I alchemize this? And maybe you just go on a walk, or you have some time where you're being creative and you have a voice memo open on your phone and you're like, okay, what is it that I'm channeling right now that feels successful to me? Where you can also get yourself mucked up is saying yes to people too fast, too soon because of that gate 29. A couple of you have that in here. We talked about this before. It's the yes man energy. Hello, Anne. When it comes to success, something that I want you to consider too, because of that gate 5, not only do you like change when you can control it, but you need to have a certain structure and organization to your day. And that structure doesn't have to make logical sense to other people. So if you're a night owl like me, maybe you don't wake up until 11 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but maybe that's because you don't go to sleep until 3 a.m., right? And part of your success is going to be built around your values, but also because you value your own independent structure. And when you kind of think about your day, it's important to find the distinction right now for you as a projector. Am I feeling bitter because I wasn't recognized with these people in this one way? Or am I feeling bitter because illustration as a whole just isn't successful, nor frankly exciting for you at this point? And you can only answer that question. I can intuit some things, right? Or look at your chart, but ultimately you have to know where your passion truly lies. And anything worth having is also worth fighting for, especially if it's your passion. So it's like when one door closes on a version of this that didn't work out from these people, how is it teaching you to go in a different direction for people who may actually appreciate your skills when it comes to illustration, right? And what does that kind of look like? And you know how to take care of yourself at this point. Okay, perfect, Anne. I just went a little over I'm going a little over, but you will be fine. Okay, we won't overlap. I just needed to say that out loud. Channeling is self-projected. Yeah, so that ultimately is like clarification on what I meant to guide with. For you, it's like, when we look at all your throat center activation and how you want to be of influence, gate 31, how you want to be influential, how you want to guide people, it's like, what are the things that you're most impulsive about sharing, right? So if it is that you're excited about illustration in some capacity, that's still good. But just because the wrong people were the ones in front of you listening to you doesn't mean that it was anything that was your fault. We're also dealing with people who don't give a shit about their human design and don't give a shit about being good people, period, right? So it's not that the people's reaction was wrong, what means that there's something wrong with you, right? So that's where, again, give you the homework to ask yourself the question, is it that you don't feel successful or don't find clarification in illustration because it was the wrong audience, or because like maybe there's just something else you want to try at this juncture, or try it in a different way, right? Like music and audio. I was curious if you had synesthesia too. I literally was at trivia with my dad and my fiance when I was messaging you in the comments back and forth in between trivia. And I was like, I need to remember how to spell synesthesia because autocorrect was not getting it. But like that can be another cool, interesting thing. And again, if you don't want to do or navigate social media as a way to connect with people where you'll feel more successful, where are people who are like-minded in person? If you're in an area, I mean, I'm not in an incredibly populated area. Even my local coffee shops will do some sort of art show, something that gets you in front of people or gets you in a place, in a space where you can connect with people. If you like to do illustration for other people for social media and create like cool posters for your local jazz club or jazz night somewhere, right? Or whenever they have open mic night at the place that we were doing trivia, that can be an option, right? So be creative about where you can go if you're kind of over having to promote yourself online. But in 2025, it's like picking one or the other. Either we have to be more serious about our in-person networking or our online content creation, which is free networking, free marketing, right? So it's like, whether we like it or not, generally speaking, that your gate of the game player, your North Node and your Mercury is like, I may not like that these are the rules, but like, at least I know enough to figure out what level of me playing the game allows me to still remain authentic and play a game that like, it is inherently had rules that were a little bit broken, right? And right now, a lot of people are going to be feeling that way. Pluto's also retrograde, so it's activating a lot of things. Pluto in Aquarius in general is like teaching people how to be a little bit more hyper independent because they can be a really strong role as a part of the whole when Pluto goes into Pisces. So paying attention to that too. I don't want to do either. I know. And listen, nervous system regulation and burnout are very real things. Maybe you just have to take, for both of you guys, like a month to think about what I said and just take it one day at a time. You know you best, so you know what your level of burnout is. I needed that, right? I gave myself 3 months, and I'm thankful I was able to do it, to take my time as I was transitioning, figuring out what I wanted to do next. And a helpful tip that I'll give you also is, especially if you've been burned out by your ex-partner, right? Didn't get credit. It's, how can I pivot to make that job my side hustle mentally, right? Like, your give a shit meter and energy has to get dimmed down a little bit to make sure that you're not burning out all your energy, because the energy that you need to go home to figure out what your next step is needs to come from somewhere, right? So it's being okay and not being 100% on in some way, shape, or form. And I know that sounds hard when we get used to these systems and environments, especially as a Pisces moon and your community being really important to you. So it hurts you, not just on it's just business. It's like, no, at a spiritual level, like, this hurts me. It takes time to alchemize some pain like that. So it's not to rush your own process, but you know who you are in that role. Let me just go back here for a second. Yeah, okay, I still have 10 minutes before Anna. I'll bring up your chart too. So yeah, Steve, just focusing on that, getting your contracts in order, what success means to you. What are some of the other things? I mean, with human design, I always give people guideposts. Like my incarnation cross is always about like gate 44. It's like, what do you like to make people alert or aware of? How can you help people not make the same mistake twice? And it doesn't have to be through literal business. It can also be like, this is so funny and silly. Yes, that's where I'm at. I save my energy for myself. I love that. So, I'm so glad Bunches intuitively affirming that that's exactly what you need to be doing, Steve. Exactly. And that will give you more clarity. Once you've kind of just been like, fuck you, and like put people like that on a shelf. Thank you, Anne. Put people like that on a shelf. It helps you to be like, almost like give you that revenge of like, oh, I'm going to have so much revenge that I'm actually going to take care of me, which is what that South Node in Taurus at gate 27 is teaching you. And where you're going, gate 28, gate of the game player, right? It's like, how do I play life like a game? How do I need to get to this next level? And I mean, music industry alone, like I worked for Make Music New York. And I actually got my friend Arthur hired as their graphic designer. So they are based in New York, if you couldn't tell by the name. A+, Brenna, describing that. And they would design, a different illustrator would design the paper, the Metro ad. It was a free subway paper for the June 21st, which is the longest day of the year. And we coordinated, I was the event coordinator, one of, for over 1,000 concerts throughout the 5 boroughs on the same day in New York City. So my work was cut out for me. I worked under the deputy director, whose name was Jordan McLean. He's a famous trumpet player. So some cool things that are happening there in the music space, especially for what you do. If there's any way, Steve, like if you want to send me a DM on TikTok or like things that you've been thinking of, or next time we're on here or whatever, just to kind of point you in the direction. I also really like another resource I'll give you. So we're 111, an hour and 11 minutes into this recording. NYFA, sometimes you can be remote. It's nyfa.org. That's how I found my job for Make Music New York. So they can sometimes help with some graphic stuff, especially when it comes to music and overlap, right? And don't downplay, like if you can do stuff even on Upwork or Fiverr, if you haven't done so already, like every single job that I ever got throughout there in my 20s always became like a longer, more like full-time position in full-time in the eyes of the art world, right? So those are some kind of practical tips that I can give you. But remember, like you're the source of inspiration. It's up to you to still decide like how you want to get recognized, what you want to be, make people alert and aware of. And maybe it's like, I feel like there's a huge opportunity for you to work with tattoo artists. I keep getting visuals of like the different tattoo artists that I know. Maggie Serpica, I worked with her in the music field. She was really big on Staten Island. She's tattooed quite a few people. Who else? Philly is like our mutual friend that she tattooed, but he's not a tattoo artist. Drew, who's one of the artists that I worked with. So I maybe just clairvoyantly getting some visuals of things or like ideas or directions of where you can be going. But I've given you a lot of information to download in a very short period of time. So again, ultimately, it's the next homework. If you're like, what do I do? You have to just redefine what success is for you. And don't let a bad moment or shitty people deter you from thinking that your dream is wrong. Obviously, that in and of itself is a little bit of an answer, gentle nudging you in that other direction, or knowing like it's not that it's wrong, it's just the wrong people. I love that. I'm drawing illustrating. Yes. Oh my God. Well, you're so on tune with that because you should reach out to Vicky and the people that run Body Graph Chart because they are in desperate need. Hold on. I'm going to email. How about this? Because I am a manifesting generator. And so you don't have to worry about the invitation. I can email Victoria who runs. So they are the people that I pay to host my chart generator. So I can email them and just say like, hey, there's this illustrator. They just did a whole thing for Mother's Day about human design and parenting. And their graphics are not great. So, right? So we're not relying on Canva. If that's something, I'll at least make the connection and just spark that kind of interest if you're interested in that. I don't want to shove my energy where it doesn't belong, but just send me a TikTok You also have my email because of my Calendly now too, and I have yours. We can connect in that way, and I'm happy to just kind of like facilitate that for you if that's of interest. But let me do this. I'll send you an email tonight so you have it, and then we can workshop it from there so that it's streamlined. If that sounds good, you can give me a thumbs up. And then I'll bring up Anne's chart. But I'm glad you said that because that would be so cool. And I think there's so many, like if you looked at or put up a profile on Fiverr and Upwork, if you haven't done so already, I think you could do it for free. But there's like niche people, like people looking for niche illustrations. Okay, cool. I just haven't looked at it in a while. So I don't know if they're like actually doing human design stuff or like human design profiles, but I keep forgetting that. I have my chat over here, so I keep forgetting you guys see me this way. But yeah, so that can also be an opportunity where like, if you make it, they will come is a really good descriptor for a projector too. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that you said that. So if it can help at all, I can't, obviously can't guarantee if they'll hire you for that, but I think it's a good kind of like, at least in my one small way, being a human design lady in that kind of realm and talking to the people there, that would be like helpful. They're based like somewhere overseas, but Vicky is American or Canadian, who's like the podcast lady and kind of like the HBIC over there. So we'll chat. I'm just gonna write that down, excuse me. And I'll do that within the next, before I go to bed, next couple hours. Be on for a little bit. But thank you. Thank you for letting me read for you. And I'm sorry that happened. I hope that if, the days will get easier as you kind of alchemize that pain of feels like rejection, lack of appreciation, lack of recognition at its core, lack of success in that area. But it's not that, don't take that as you're not successful. It goes for any of my projectors. It's not that you're not successful. It's just that not everyone is people can be intimidated by that also, right? Especially with all your concentration of Scorpio, Sag, and Leo. For any of you guys that have those placements, that's something to pay attention to. Yeah, so I'll put a pin in that and now. Thank you, Steve, for letting me read for you, and thank you for being so gracious and patient. I appreciate that very much. And then I'm going to switch my screen here so I don't pull up. And I have your, the scenario was crazy, but I feel like it was a huge life change. Yeah, no, it sounds like it. I feel like it kind of, I can feel clairsentient, the toll that took for sure. And just the complication of relationship too, an interesting level of enmeshment happening there on many different levels. Okay, this is so funny because I swear, and I just saw the last line of your question, and you said, so we're an hour and 17 minutes into the recording, Anne, so you can go back and look to this. And I was thinking of you today because my dad has been staying with me for the last week and a half now, and I was thinking of you in relation to him and how he speaks and having an undefined throat and all of that. And let me go here. A bunch is cool, yeah. So your question is, you talked about looking where a good place to live, move to. I prefer to be in Texas near daughters, granddaughters. Or, yeah, okay, so there's two. My oldest daughter has lots of resentment and feels like I didn't or don't listen to her. Yeah, I was literally thinking of this today. So I was already picking up on this. This is funny, and I was talking about this with my 2 o'clock client today. About how... Wow, it just left. Sorry. I started reading your Virgo dad. Yes, my Virgo dad. Exactly. September 3rd. I was in my kitchen. Oh, this is what I was saying with my client today, Sarah. That I will get the energy of the people that I read for, or just an intuitive hit before the reading actually happens. So I was thinking of your exact scenario today and how Having a Virgo dad that has an undefined throat, like you have an undefined throat, his response won't always match logically what I said. So I know him, and I know that my dad communicates because he has an undefined throat like you in a particular way. Whereas like your Leo daughter is predisposed to want a lot of loyalty, obvious praise, and recognition that isn't in your nature to give right away. So if she understood that about you and you understood that about her, it would cause a little bit less friction in communication, where there are probably moments in time. Oh, wow. Okay, Astro, there you go. All the synchronicities. It's like, you can't make this up, right? It's like, I wish I could remember what exactly my dad said today that reminded me of this also. It's almost like you'll skip processes in the conversation. And some of you projectors may resonate with this too. Like, but as an undefined throat person and growing up with one, right, and living with one now too, it's like, I would say something like, do you want, like asking a literal question, like, how do you feel about, like mac and cheese, let's say, for dinner? And he could think 3 steps ahead and being like, say something that sounds irrelevant. Hi, Orion, thank you. Say something that sounds irrelevant, but I know him, and just being an intuitive person, I can track his train of thought to see how he got to that. And he could say like, the mac and cheese in the movie Cinderella Man, that's what he was just watching with Russell Crowe and Renee Zellweger, was really good. And I'm like, okay, but that doesn't answer my question about like, do you want it now, right? And so also having an undefined throat, and like, it's kind of like that you're taking a second to process, and there's no direct plug that you have between any other energy center to your throat. So there's not a quick, it's like if you opened a dam and the water ran through really quickly, right? That's what a channel does. Whereas like you don't have that connection to your throat right away. So it takes you a beat to figure out like, what do you want to say? And then you put that in with like gate 12, and it's like, okay, proceeding with caution, because you're trying to understand and look at your daughter. Yeah, exactly. You're looking at your daughter and you're kind of like, I know she wants me to say something, but I don't know what she wants me to say. Like and now I'm afraid because I think she's going to yell at me, and then we're going to get into a conversation or an argument, and I'm not going to like this anymore. And neither is she. So that's what caused a lot of that friction, right? And I think it's because it's not that you don't listen to her or didn't listen to her. Maybe sometimes that was true, right? Because it's like you just have a completely different way that you're processing from her, right? And for her, it's like it's more quick, like, okay, I'll bring up her chart. So let me do this so I can see. She's a 3-5, right? This one will be hard to be public. She thinks I don't care. Yeah. Because she's gate 33, August 2nd. It's funny because I mentioned the August 2nds today. Let me look this up. So Anne, daughter, Leo. I wonder if she's a Sag moon and Virgo Mercury, because that also, like Virgo Mercury, it's like if she's hyper focusing on people's communication. Those are the couple people that I know born that day have those placements, but it doesn't, but location was different. So that can obviously change some things. Let's go here. Oh, August 1st is your design date. See, that's so crazy. There you go. Yeah, so even more of that synchronicity. And I have her here. Okay. Taurus moon. Aries moon. So it's like my Aries moons know, and a hush fell over the crowd for the Aries moons. It's like if they feel like their emotional needs aren't being met, it can be a real pain point of frustration. And that anger is valid because it's like it makes people feel like Aries moon people, like they're quick to anger, but it's because they're quick to hurt, right? It's more sensitive. It's like, you burned me, so I feel like I have to burn you back quickly, even if they don't do it intentionally. And it's funny because Mercury is on top of her gate 42 moon right now, right? I wonder, or maybe unless she has a degree, hold on. Yeah, she'll have either a 20 to 26 degree Aries moon. Her gate 1 and gate 2. Her gate 1 and gate 2 gate is my 3 and 4. Okay. Yeah, she's also a Cancer Mercury, so like very sensitive when it comes to her words and needing a little bit more Taurus rising. Yeah, Darian, you know. You're like, damn. And especially like for your daughter, she has a completely undefined ego, an open, I should say, G center. So that can cause some issues in like codependency that she also has to work through as an individual. But, you know, our relationships with our parents and our siblings are our most intimate ones. Like, they're the ones that affect us the most. So to me, it just seems like her taking your lack of communication as a personal attack. And it's so funny because I see this with me and my brother. I have such a good relationship with my dad. Complete opposite for my dad and my brother. He's 5 years younger than me. And so same thing. Like, I think he would probably say like he thinks my dad doesn't care. My brother's also a Cancer, her being a Cancer rising. So it's like sensitivity in that, right? And I think my brother's a Leo moon, although I can't remember off the top of my head. So that energy dynamic being unique and interesting. And all it takes is like an acknowledgement in intuitively what you feel based off of what I said, Anne. Like, knowing this about her, she also has an undefined throat too, right? And also gate of caution. What's interesting is that together, your gate 16 connects with her gate 48, So this channel is basically like it takes 7 years to learn a skill. So for you, her gate 48 gate of inadequacy is meeting your gate 16 gate of skills. And it's like, okay, you can pull out, I can imagine that like if I had to guess, like based on the conversations, that this is funny. Like, this is a funny, like, example of this. This is something that happened with me and my dad. So when I was, like, in high school, I was really insecure about my weight. And, like, my weight would fluctuate really easy. And I've, like, always something that I had struggled with. And my dad was like, my dad was telling me what I was expressing. I was like, oh, I don't know. I need to get a bathing suit for, like, this class trip. We were, like, going on this class trip to, like, this pool. And I was, like, dreading it. And I was like, oh. And my dad was like, what about Lane Bryant? And like, I was just so conscious of my weight that I was like, oh my God, like I have to shop there. And like, there's no harm in it. It was just like my naive, like bratty, you know, I think I was like somewhere between 16 and 18. And he's trying to be practical and share the skill, right? And I took that like so personally and so negatively because I was also a brat that like had horrific like dieting yo-yo and like just bad, right? Bad all around, right? We've both grown since then in different ways, right? But it's like those like things that can just feel like so much more cataclysmic when you have those energy dynamics. And then again, like if she's already somebody who's Cancer Mercury, Aries moon, Leo sun, like that's kind of like the perfect storm of all that water and fire like fighting each other at the same time. And so, you know, thinking of things in that way. It can also be that if she shared that she had a problem that she wanted you to come at in an emotional, more feminine way, like you can look at it through a gate 16 lens and say, well, here's the practical way that we solve that problem, where she just needed a little bit more sensitivity from you. Whereas your Virgo Venus also is just a little bit more in that gate 16 flavoring your communication center. If we go back to your chart too, is causing a little bit of that discord. And that's where there's like a little bit of that, like you're intuitive, but you channel it through a structure, right? She's like intuitive when it kind of inspiration kind of strikes, which is also, I feel like important to say with your dynamic, and figuring that out. I think that highlighting, and if she understands you, like writing out, I know you said you sent audio messages to her before, which were probably just overwhelming, but even if you tried, if you want to, right, if it feels comfortable for you and intuitively you feel like it's what's best and you still are wanting to try, which it sounds like from the relationship, it's like expressing to her, and you don't even have to mention human design if you don't want to, but expressing to her that you don't communicate in the same way that she does, but that doesn't mean that you're trying to be committed to misunderstanding her. Because what that's doing is triggering the wounds of her open center with her undefined, her open G center, right? So it can cause that, like, nobody loves me, and it can extend beyond the relationship of just with mom. I'm actually going to read to you from this little end section here for how she perceives things. So with this, so a completely open G center leaves one without clear identifiable personality parameters and an inherent sense of direction. If not grounded in their personal authority, so her teaching her how to use her, I think she's an emotional. Let's see, let me go back. Oh yeah, emotional authority. Completely open G centers feel afloat and unsure of themselves, turning to others to identify and direct them and to affirm their lovability. This leaves them vulnerable to manipulation and open to the conditioning dictates of others. Once they give their authority over to another person, authority figure, or institution, they can no longer live out their true potential. Over time, as they become comfortable with the openness of their design, they do discover their way or direction and a sense of their unique being. Like those with undefined Gs, their broad experience and comprehension of the nature of being, self-love, and the way that we are designed to move through life is the wisdom we can all benefit from. The not self-talk. So I talked about this in our training today in relation to our relationship with money, but some of the like fears of the undefined G center, it's called like the not self in human design. The not self mind is a spokesperson for the undefined centers and tells us what we should say or do. Noticing this talk is essential to deconditioning. Here are some of the examples of what the not self mental monologue could sound like with an undefined G center. Who am I? Where should I go to find out who I am? Who can show me? Who am I going to love? Who is going to love me? How do I find them? Where can I find them? What am I going to do with my life? Where should I go to figure out what to do with my life? Is it there? Is it here? Where is it? Do I feel lost? Let's go here because we might find something that will show me who I am or what I can do with my life. Let's have a relationship with this person because I will get a sense of who I am. Good night, bunches. So it's interesting because within that, right, if we just read the beginning of this, so where should I go to find out who I am? Who can show me? And if you're communicating with her or you're not providing a solution to her quick enough or didn't when she was younger, that's a way that we can kind of define probably a specific moment that you may remember or not remember because it wasn't as big of a deal for you. Because if we look at your chart, right, remember she's completely open. You're defined, where you don't have that same type of fear that she has around identity. So if she was trying to communicate identity for you, right? Or she was trying to find identity through you and you didn't really know how to communicate that because that's not an inherent sense of who you are. That's where we can also have the discourse, right? Or that disconnection. So just some practical ways that you can kind of look at it. And then I think to, answer and piggyback the next part of your question here, you talked about looking at where a good place to live, move to, astrocartography. I would prefer to be in Texas near daughters or granddaughters. And that's fine, right? So for that, right, like looking at your astrocartography, let me see if I think I have you in here still. Let's see. I have to connect it with my streaming platform because I'm not streaming like directly from my desktop. I have to add it, so I won't be able to show it on screen, but I can describe the energy of Texas to you. And this is what I say for all my astrocartography readings, is that you, okay, I have to add you. There's no one place on earth that's going to be perfect all the time. So if you guys are using astrocartography to be like, where can I go to just not feel anything or any strife at all ever in my life? It's like not always going to be the perfect scenario for that, right? Like there's no one place. Like you have to think of like the changing political climate in the state or country. Like what's the economy like in that state or country? Like I have my Venus line running through Egypt and some other parts of the world that aren't exactly the most peaceful place, nor does their government really align with my values, right? And some other places of the world that my Venus line runs through. So in theory, right, it would be a good place just based on the map alone, but it may not in that way be a good place for me to live, right? So that's where you have to think about, okay, I know these energies. Now, how can I work around them to make them make sense for me? Or like, what's the place that I can have the most benefit? or can get the most benefit. So let me go. I need to look at who's going to get the boot here from my chart generator. Let me do it. Because I'm like at my max entries. And then let's look at what is happening in Texas. So I use astro.com and their locational astrology portal. Oh, wow. Okay. So basically in most of the central US, you don't have any lines running through Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, nothing down there. We don't feel any energy until we get to like Tucson and the west coast of Mexico, where your Venus line is, and then you have some intersection between your moon and your Venus up there. So nothing to preemptively look at or be freaked out about. Yeah, I feel the need to settle. It's so funny because you and Sarah, my afternoon client, both said the same exact thing. It was like, I traveled for a while, like now I just feel like I need peace, and like where am I gonna get that? So that's, yeah, you'd be exactly right to say that. I think a lot of people, especially with Pluto in Aquarius too, are feeling like things are a little, like there's a lot of change that is happening outside of us, and even within us as a result of that. So it's like, where can I ground myself a little bit and feel a little bit, ooh, walking pen, hold on. It's not going to explode, I promise. It sounds like that every time. Very, very dramatic. Hold on. Okay. So with Texas in general, right? You know the energies energetically, not because you have preconceived energy that's there based on your astrocartography, but because of your relationship with your daughter, right? And moving closer to be to your granddaughters. So if you know that when you go there, there's going to be emphasis on your relationship, because in order, and I'm assuming that your daughter that you mentioned, it's her daughter, maybe. But there's at least going to be energy around like that vibe, right? Or the relationships between your children regardless. So knowing that like maybe this is the time at your life that settling there and relaxing there will be important, but it's not, there's nothing there that's like conflicting or anything that's going to be stressful, even within a 200-mile radius, that's going to totally change an opinion of what I would say of moving there. It's kind of like, okay, cool. Like it's there. Texas is there, right? There's nothing crazy in your astrocartography that says otherwise. I think it's just a matter of finding a place that feels close, like how close you want to be to your grandchildren. Is it that there's, a half hour, maybe just figuring out relationships and people always are people are always evolving. So relationships are always evolving, right? We know better. We do better. We move on, we make mistakes, we move forward, and we forgive ourselves the best we can. And trust me, as someone who's a Scorpio, like stellium, and like never forgives myself for anything, like I've had to learn how to tap into my Pisces to find a lot of forgiveness with other people and what that looks like. And trust me, with the relationships and my family dynamics right now, I'm right there with you. And how I show up, right? Pluto is retrograding through my ascendant and my 12th house. I'm Aquarius rising. So it's a lot of that who I am in relationship to other people. And, there's probably going to be people that fall off right now because of something I said or something I've done. And my values have changed. I've changed as a person, and people who have benefited from me not having those boundaries. It's just the way that it is. But I know that I've also evolved and have become a better person than I was. Not to say that I was terrible, but like less critical, more understanding, more aware as I've gotten older throughout my life. And I know you laugh at me for saying this all the time, and and I'll look in a second. But that's where it's important to just say, okay, at this phase, right? Like what does that relationship dynamic look like, and how do I want to proceed? I was coming in from Houston area today, and she was upset before I left there. I haven't been here for 5 months. Yeah. And I think from what it sounds like, and And then, oh, Darian, yeah, absolutely. I'll probably just end up putting it on my website. But if you want to message me about it or email me about it, I can email you too when I email Steve as well. And I'll send you a couple options. Honestly, Darian, too, if you wanted to, because I know we talked about like where you're at right now, if you wanted to book another one of those 10-minute audios, I can do a quick audio for you if you want to do that. I'll say that now, and I'll email you the link anyway, but just in case you wanted like a quick affordable way too. You guys I have the audio set up on my page right now, so you could look at that. But Anne, to your question, right, like, or your statement, I should say, about like not having been there for 5 months, it's like, it just sounds like there's a lot of resentment from the past that she still hasn't worked through. And ultimately, I will say this at the end of the day. You can love your children, but at the end of the day, to say that again, they're also individual people who are 50% of a relationship, right? And as two adults, right? Like, even though they're still your child, and I know you know this, but just I think it's helpful to hear it from a relatively neutral third party and someone who also has complex origin family dynamics. It's that it's also up to that other person to think about if they actually want resolution, or like saying to her, and you may have said this before, like, what do you want me to say? Like, I'm doing my best. I just communicate this way, and this is who I am as a person, and I want to be there for you as much as possible. But like, I'm struggling to find the words, but that doesn't mean that I don't love you, And I think that can even be something that you can say, or words to that effect if you haven't already, But ultimately, if you've shown that you're ready, willing, and able to work things through with her or meet her where she's at, family therapy, all those kinds of things. There's only so many things. Yeah. So hopefully I helped with some ghostwriting and maybe an apology or a conversation for you. But I mean, the times where like, I wish that my family had the awareness, multiple members of my family had the awareness to say that, not my dad specifically. But I'm also just an intuitive person. Yeah, she thinks I want her to solve my problems. Yeah, and I think there's also data there too, right? So it's like, maybe there's things that in her saying that also intuitively and literally tells me that she doesn't have the capacity to hold space for the types of problems that you have. So it's not that it's wrong or incorrect to share with her, but maybe there's a better, more suitable party that can pivot. Okay, cool, Darian. Maybe there's a better, more suitable party that you can, that you can communicate those things to, right? And it can be like a hard kind of lens, because like for me, like I'd always been very close to my mom, but like there was some boundaries that were crossed of like things that she communicated to me that like as the child, I wish that she was. It's a little bit different, right? But for her, because my mom is not as capable as you are, I'll say in a nice way, I knew that I couldn't, like, I had to distance myself from my own mental health and well-being, right? And you've listened to my podcast episode about all of this, like, the dynamics. I know you know this to an extent. But for me, it's like, okay, maybe my daughter, right, doesn't have the capacity to hold space for my problems. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it doesn't even have to be like you are asking something directly, right? But in you sharing, sometimes that creates the sense of maybe urgency. And again, I don't know her fully personally, so I'm being a devil's advocate here. But maybe there's some kind of ways where like she automatically assumes that she has to take care of it, right? And that could be also her learning how to not react to her codependency, right? So it's like, and you can say that, right? You could say that until the cows come home of like, I'm not asking you to solve this problem for me. You could be very clear about that. But if she hasn't worked with her codependency and her completely open G center, then that's going to cause its own set of issues, right? Of like that's how she responds. So even though, right? Yeah, just me asking what can I do to help you? Yeah. And I think that's where like figuring out that dynamic, like what feels like a good interplay of like how much you communicate, how little you communicate, And maybe just like having a do-over. I remember my grandmother, God rest her soul, she's over there on my calendar. There's a picture. She's in the pool and I'm like jumping. I was probably like 7 if I had to guess. She was teaching me how to swim at the like pool. And she was a very complicated person. Yeah, parentification. Okay, yeah, okay. So that leads me to believe that like, yeah, I think a do-over is probably not the worst idea to change your relationship dynamic with her. No, parentification. I know. That's like I don't even think Siri necessarily sees that as a word. Yeah, but that also leads me to believe that by her saying that she feels that maybe because of certain dynamics, right? From what you shared without sharing everything publicly, that like conversations that she wished you had with another party or like somebody that was like a more adult, or dad or a partner maybe happened with her. And she took that really deeply than you meant it, right? That's me just reading between the lines of what could have happened. And, it's up to her to forgive that and for you to be like, oh, I didn't even realize, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that that's what you felt, right? Or I didn't think that in me sharing that wasn't my intention. And I think that's a thing too, like when it comes to apologies and forgiveness, it's like intention, no matter what the intention is, there's always people's unique blueprints, like we're looking at in front of us, and their life experiences, the way that they are, that just makes them internalize or process things in a different way. You're welcome. And even though your intention wasn't what you thought it was, like an apology and like a sincere apology just goes a long way, right? It's just like, I'm sorry, I didn't even know that that's how I was coming across. And then again, it's up for her to decide to release that or not and move on. And how she wants to process that is then her own adult processing. Like she's, again, they're children, mom, dad, connecting factors, but it takes two to tango in any relationship. And so, it's not always 50-50 of a split either, but I think that it can highlight some things. I'm of the varietal of person that looks objectively at people's energy all day long. So it's helped me in my relationships, but I still, within my relationships with my family, like it's the ultimate test, right? It's the ultimate way that I try to keep my side of the street clean. And I really try to look at, my parents' charts. Thankfully, I know everyone's birth time in my immediate family. So that helps me a lot. So I really try to look at this as like, okay, if I really am understanding this correctly, like how is this person, my mom, my dad, my brother, how are they processing this right now? And like, I remember when I was young and I didn't know my human design at this point, but I remember, I would say I was probably like college when I said this to my dad, and I was like, I know exactly what you're trying to say, and I know exactly what my brother is trying to say, and this is where you guys are not understanding each other. And like me, I'm just like, I think it's my Aquarius Mercury retrograde, a couple other things in my chart also being a 1-3, and I was like, I just don't understand like why you guys don't understand each other. Like why can't you just say it like this? And now looking at my dad and my brother and their charts in comparison, like I can see the differentiators, but it does take two willing parties and any conversation. Like this is just good data for any kind of conflicts. Full circle back to the Aries Mercury in gate 42 that we were talking about, which is your daughter's moon sign, Anne. And like any sort of conflict resolution that you guys may be faced with right now, it's a really good way to look at conflict resolution and just be like, okay, and at the end of the day, like you can be in traffic, right? Like I was driving with my dad to go, I needed more moisturizer, and I was like, why don't we go? Instead of me ordering online, it'll be like something that we can do for like our outing for the day. And so the store that I go to is 40 minutes away. So it's like a drive to, because of course I have to get the specific moisturizer for my skin. I like all my routines and gate 5 things. And I was letting somebody go in traffic because there was a line of cars anyway. I'm like, what is, me blocking this person in because I have to prove a point about how I was there first doesn't mean anything. And the second that I let that person go, the person behind me like beeped right away. Right. And so it was like that sense of agitation in the air. oh, I booked it on here for live, but it's the voice. Oh, but it's for the voice astrocartography. I don't follow instructions well. You're fine. Okay, you're so sweet. As long as I know what you want, how you want it delivered, that's perfectly fine. So astro voice note for Darian. Yeah, and I forget, I was talking about that from a conflict resolution perspective. I forget where I was going with that now, but she was next to me and my window was rolled down. It was a woman behind me and she pulled up next to me, and this is Mars in Aquarius on my ascendant. And right as the lights turn green, and it was like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen those TikToks where there's that somebody will be behind like a cop at a red light, and the second it turns green they beep, and like the caption is like, it's not going to turn any greener, buddy, like, and they're being sarcastic about like how they're telling the person to go faster. And she did that, but she was like dead serious just because you could see her energy in her face. And I like turned and looked at her when she did it, and she turned and looked at me and smiled, and I was like, girl, damn, like for your own peace, like chill out. And she like laughed, and it was like funny, kind of just like we both acknowledged it. I don't, who knows if it did anything. I don't really, it's no skin off my back, but I was like, damn, like protect your own peace. Like it's really not that serious. And so, finding moments of communicating things like that. Not all conflict resolution has to be as heavy and funny or heavy and unfunny, but sometimes it is. And I think, with the way that we're being activated right now, it's at a very deep level of things that we've been activated on for a while. Thank you, Anne, for being our poster child for this with your reading. And I think your situation is a lot one that people can understand and apply to, not even in their own families, but in like other energy dynamics. Like it's, post-COVID has also made people really focus on like every man for themselves, which is also Pluto and Aquarius. What we've forgotten, it's every man taking care of themselves for the sake of the role that they play in community. That's my little kind of tagline and spiel that I'll riff off of for that. And just basically saying that like, the reason that we're hyper focusing on what our own needs are is so that we can show up better, to know what role we play as a part of our global family, our larger family, our communities at large, and understanding how when we listen to ourselves, when we follow our energetic blueprint, like that's why I'm so firm on this work. Like we have the map that teaches us how to navigate our energy most effectively. And the more that you say yes to yourself is going to mean that you do say no to other people that are in your life that have been there for a while, and it's a restructuring. And me prioritizing me doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with me, but that like you benefited from the version of me that didn't have those boundaries because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. And now that I know better, the best thing that I can do is remove myself from this situation for myself, but ultimately for you, because I don't want to be, a miserable schmuck when I'm in the office every single day. Like I always knew when I overstayed my welcome in a job, at least, or a relationship that didn't fit, and following that too. Yeah, okay, Darian, thank you for sharing this. Darian says, yes, Anne, I'm an Aries moon and my mom is an Aries sun. We couldn't understand one another until I grew up emotionally. She didn't understand my needs until I learned to stop taking things personally. Aw, thank you for saying that. We are so close now, best friends, talk every day, give it some time. I love that, and that's a beautiful way for you to highlight that. And thank you, Darian, for sharing that, because I think that's brings, and I'm sure, some peace, right? Just in knowing from... Because I can say it objectively as a teacher, but it's another thing to hear it from somebody that like actually has had that experience in those placements, and that's a special thing. But yeah, I will leave it at that beautiful mic drop moment from Darian. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys being here with me for the almost 2 hours that we've been together now, and just appreciate you pouring into me as I pour into you. Anne and Steve, thank you so much for signing up. I have a couple emails and things to send, some fun things to send. And thank you for being open and vulnerable, and for all you guys just for being here in whatever capacity, and supporting me and supporting you. I'll be back next Wednesday on this platform at 7:30, and we'll start and I'll go over the Godheads. So that'll be a fun instructional teaching moment to kind of talk about like what are your Godheads. We had Amanda that I wrote down her Godheads too. Gabe, thank you for being here. Orion, Gabe, who else is here? Beautiful Deanna, Chris as well, who I'm sorry if I missed anyone off the top of my head. Bunches, I think I got Astro Drea. Thank you so much. Yeah, Amanda. I think I got everybody. Everyone that was in the chat at least. Thank you guys for whoever else was here that I didn't see via the chat. It doesn't pop up with usernames when people come in like it does on TikTok. But I will be on tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on TikTok if you guys want to hop on and join us there. It's a fun, different vibe. It's more like fast-paced, but I like the duality of both in my true manifesting generator way. So yeah, of course, and listen, I'm happy to facilitate any kind of help and healing in my capacity as a human design reader. So thank you so much. Love to all you guys. And I will see you tomorrow if you're on TikTok. If not, I'll